I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C., and we're here to provide a briefing on the incoming blizzard that is descending on the District of Columbia. This morning, let me first tell you about where we are. We're located at the district's Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency, and this is the location of the district's Emergency Operations Center. We stood up our center at 6 a.m. This morning, and we have begun to fully deploy our resources. We've staffed up, so all essential and emergency personnel are in place. For the next several days, the district's snow operation and response will be led out of this office under the direction of our HSEMA director, Chris Geldhart, who's going to provide an operational update in just a few seconds. We've just been briefed by the National Weather Service about the blizzard that is coming in. We believe that it could be, the snow could start coming a little bit earlier than was reported yesterday, between 1 and 3. Snow all day, all night, and all day Saturday into late night Saturday. And the forecast does not show any evidence of lightening up. We are anticipating 2 to 2.5 feet of snow over a 36-hour period, with some parts of the District of Columbia on that upper end. The snow we anticipate is wet and heavy, which means we can expect to see down trees and power lines. The winds are expected to be 30 miles an hour up to 50 miles an hour through Saturday evening, and we believe that we're going to see wind pick up throughout the day. In fact, our forecasters call this event having thunder snow at parts of the storm. So I want to be very clear with everybody. We see this as a major storm. It has life and death implications, and all the residents of the District of Columbia should treat it that way. We need the city's full cooperation, and we need the media's help too, to send the clear message that we want people to hunker down, shelter in place, and stay off the roads. We need people to be in a safe place today just as soon as they can, for their own safety and for the safety of our public safety personnel and our first responders. We also need you to look in on your neighbors, and especially think about them now. If anybody you know is outside, we need to get them inside as soon as possible. At 9:30, the district's snow emergency went into effect, which means that all snow emergency routes on our major arteries should be clear at this time. If they are not clear, we will move the vehicles. We have to have the snow emergency routes clear so that we can begin to clear the streets, so that our first responding vehicles can have access to neighbors in the event of an emergency. These are blizzard conditions, and even passing through streets will be difficult for our first responders, and we want everybody to look out for them. So what we are going to do now is talk to you about the immediate snow operations and take questions. So let me invite Director Geldhart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to echo what the mayor said and say that this is a bad storm. Folks need to understand that this is a life-threatening type of storm. So if you do not need to be out, and what we're asking folks is, by 3 o'clock today, you need to be where you're going to be throughout this storm. We need to keep folks off the road. What we're going to be doing over the next 24 hours or so, depending on the storm and how the snow comes down, we are going to be utilizing our snow equipment to keep the main arterials, our emergency routes, and our side streets as passable as possible for the emergency services. Those should be the only folks on the road over at least the next 24 to 36 hours. This is a major storm. This is not an inch of snow that happens some part during the day. This is not an 8-inch storm that we've seen here in the past that's taken a couple days to clean up. We're talking about an excess of 2.5 feet of snow, heavy snow. And as the mayor mentioned, we're looking at potential for power outages. We've got a potential for roof collapses. Those are the types of things that we need to be able to respond to the residents that are out there. What we're asking the residents to do is make sure you're prepared for 72 hours, which is what we always say for our preparedness message. Make sure you're prepared for 72 hours for food and water in your home. Make sure you have the ability to have a battery-operated radio, flashlight, so that you can have some means to keep yourself comforted if you have an outage of power. Things we need folks to make sure they don't do. Please do not use candles if your power goes out. That can cause a very dangerous situation with fire. We want folks to get flashlights if at all possible. If you're using an alternative heating source, such as a space heater, please keep that away from anything that could catch fire on any flammable material. If you're running a generator, let's make sure the generator is outside and that we don't have it inside an enclosed area where carbon monoxide can be an issue. These are the things we want to make sure folks are paying attention to. And as the mayor said, if you have folks in your neighborhood that you know are vulnerable to an incident like this, you can walk next door and check on them. Give them a call. See how they're doing. Make sure that we're taking care of our own here in the city. We will get to cleaning up the city after Saturday night when the snow slows down enough for us to get out there and start to concentrate on that when we're confident that our emergency crews can get to where they need to throughout the city. That's when we'll start the general cleanup for this. And folks, we are going to be dealing with snow for the next week. That's just the nature of what we have right here. This is 2 feet of snow. With that, ma'am, I think that's all we have. Thank you.
We're happy to take any questions. Questions. Yes, please identify yourself.
Chris Fankley from CBS News. Mayor, what is your biggest concern from this storm? Is it the power outages? Is it just the volume of snow? What's your biggest concern?
Our chief concern, as you heard the director say, is making sure that Washingtonians are safe throughout this event. We're sending a clear message that most people in the district have not experienced a storm like this. They need to be prepared to stay in their homes and take the precautions that the director mentioned. First, we want people to stay inside. There's no reason to be outside during this storm, so that's very important. While they're staying inside, they also need to be safe. If we lose power, unfortunately, oftentimes we'll see other emergencies happen as a result. So take fire precautions. We also want people to be, while they're hunkered down, to be mindful of their own health. And I'm going to ask our chief medical examiner to come up and talk about some medical safety tips that people should be aware of starting now throughout the duration of the storm. So we are very, very, very concerned about health, life, and safety of DC residents. That's my first concern. And where is Dr. Mitchell? 1 second.
Yes, in addition to not utilizing generators in your homes, it's important if you decide, if heat goes out in your home and you decide to utilize your vehicles to heat yourself and your family, that you dig out around your tailpipes to ensure that there is no problems inside the vehicle. In addition, those that are elderly or take medications on a regular basis, they should stock up on their medications through their pharmacy and their physician now, at least for the next 72 to 96 hours. For those individuals that have home care needs, that have electricity that powers their respirator devices or oxygen devices, you want to make sure that if your electricity goes out and you have no backup generation, that you contact 911 and get to the closest medical facility. Self-care is extremely important during these types of events, so it's important that if you have questions about what you will need and you have chronic issues from a medical perspective, that you communicate with your physician. It's important that we take in heed what the director has said and the mayor has said. Thank you very much.
Dr. Mitchell, while you're still up there, I'm just wondering, have you deployed your fleet of mobile boards